Hello creative friends, this is Joy. So this is part 3 of making this Lapbook. So here I'm just finishing off the book and decorating it. So I decided to, I guess I could have, or probably, I don't know, should have potentially, went around the outside of these envelopes with some brown ink before I put them on there, but I did not. I just wanted to get it together and decided afterwards that I wanted to go around these with this with the brown ink here. So that's what I'm doing here, and I decided I wanted to put some stamps on here and kind of distress it more. And then here is some of the envelopes. Actually, both of these sides was not in the last video because my camera shut off on me, and so you didn't get to see me putting this part together. But anyway, this is what the rest of the lap book looks like. I've got 3 more envelopes on either side, and then these other 2 envelopes on the inside of this flap. And then I found some stamps that had to do with postage or post office or whatever, and wanted to use that to help me do some decorating on my lap book here. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm just using the ink to go around everything, and then my stamps to add, to the to this lap book to kind of give it a little bit more decoration and whatnot. So here I'm just, I wanted to go around the flap as you saw there, but I didn't want it to be get all on the bottom of the envelope, so I was just using the piece of paper to kind of distress the flap there. And let's see, what else do I do? I have some other stamps here, postage stamps that I decided to stamp on there. And then here I had the string that I tied to either side to hold those closed, to wrap around the eyelets that I put on there to hold those 2 sides closed. And so I'm going around these 2 pockets, and then I add a mailbox on one side, and then on the other side I add a stamp of a postman from my postage stamps here that I have. So I got those on there. And then on the inside, I continue to just go around everything and distressing everything with this brown ink. So I wanted to go along the top edges, but I didn't want it to be on the, get on the bottom one below it. So that's why I'm using the paper to stick in there so I can get along the top edge to distress. And I using my stamps to add more to, these items. And now I'm going around the outside of this side pocket with this that I made with the file folders, and tying that up, and then doing the other side to distress that. So I'm going around the edges of the file folder and the envelopes to distress all of that as well. So I'm not going to go through all of this because it's all kind of the same over and over again, just using my brown ink pad to distress everything around the edges and adding, different stamps to different areas where I felt like it needed a stamp. So I want to get into showing you how I continue to decorate this and finish this off. So I had some ephemera. I had this ephemera pack, which is a Tim Holtz ephemera pack with all of these neat little documents and things like that. So I thought that would go well with my lap book. And so I'm just going through it and just figuring out where I want to stick some of these items in the lap book here. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just figuring out where I want to stick things. And I don't have, I put a little something into most of the pockets, but not all the pockets. And then there's a couple of things that I decided to actually attach or glue onto the outside of some of the areas, because some of these items I thought would actually look good just kind of adhered to like a pocket or like the outside. So that tag, or both of these tags, I decided to put a string on them. I had a little bit of a leftover string, so I put that on the two tags. And then I continued to try to find, pockets to put some of this stuff into. So that's all I'm doing here. I also have a couple of composition books that you'll see here in a minute that I want to add to this. And they're not the full size composition books. They're I don't know that they call them mini composition books, but they're a smaller size composition book, and they fit this this lap book perfectly. And so you'll see that here in a minute, where I'll go and add a way to include a couple of composition books in the lap book as well. And so here I'm just using some double-sided tape, and then I'm adding some of the ink around the edges to this card that I want to put down here, and then doing the same on this circle that I want to put on the other side. And then here's another tag that I wanted to put on one of the envelopes. So I'm end up putting that little tag on an envelope, and using my double-sided tape and then inking around it. And then just the rest of it I just stick in pockets. I'm like, yeah, it's good enough. Oh, I guess there was another one there I decided to stick down on one of the pockets. And so then the rest of them I just stick into some of the available pockets. So that's what I'm doing there. And so, like I said, I had a couple composition books that I wanted to add to this lap book. So here I just got some eyelets, because I wanted to add like some elastic to my spine so that I can put the composition books in here. And here's the two composition books. And so I'm trying to figure out where I need to put the eyelets in order to include these in the lap book. And so I'm just putting them in there and then marking where I would need to put the eyelets and the elastic in order to put those in the lap book. And as you saw, one's purple, one's orange. They don't go with my lap book at all. So I also show you how I go about covering those with some scrapbook paper and distressing them to match the lap book better. So here I'm just trying to make sure that the marks that I put on here are even, because I didn't want to like do it and then find out that they're uneven. And then once I determined that they're even, then I used my hole punch to punch holes where I marked them. And actually I punched the holes and they were too small for the eyelets, so I actually had to punch them bigger so that I could get the eyelets in there. And so I basically stick them in there. I think, yeah, this is where I realized the holes are too small. So I punched them with the bigger hole punch. And I'm trying to get like the get the stuff out of there, because you can see through the top where the mark is. And then I'm setting the eyelets with the eyelet setter, but you can see through the top where the mark is unless it's clogged up. So that's why I was trying to get out the stuff that was stuck in there so I could see through the top to make sure I'm punching it in the right place and not messing it up. So I get all four of the eyelets set, and then I get my elastic string and I just, thread it through the eyelets. And I could have done it like, went around like twice, and then I could have had four elastics to potentially add more, but I think, two is fine. I got to thinking, all I need is two, because I got the two composition books and I just need two elastics to put them in. I don't think I'm going to add any more than that. I mean, this is a pretty full lap book already with all of the flips and pockets and, things, that are already included. So I tie that off pretty firm, and then I add a little bit of Eileen's tacky glue to the knot just so that it doesn't slip or anything. So here's one of the composition books, and I'm just measuring it to see what size I need. But then I thought, I don't even need to measure. I mean, I don't like to measure unless it's something, where I really need to be more precise. So I'm using my scrapbook.com double-sided adhesive again, and I'm just covering the one side of the book, and I had a strip that was left over from when I was doing the cover of the lap book, and so I'm just cutting that down to finish the covering the front of the book. And then I take a piece of scrapbook paper. I went through my scrapbook paper and found some different scrapbook paper that I thought would go with this lap book, and I stick it down. I line it up with the edge of the black binding that's on the composition book, and then stick that down and then just trim around it, cut it off. And then I take I have like a block filer here that I just kind of quickly file the edges to make sure that, it's a good fit on the composition book. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I do the other side, I do the same. I put down the double-sided adhesive, and then put down the other piece of scrap paper or, pattern paper that I picked for covering the book. And I just line it up along the edge of that black part of the binding, trim around it, and then sand it. And I don't show you me doing them, both of them, because I did them both the same, but anyway. So I sand it because that makes, have a better fit to the cover when it's sanded. And then I take my ink and then go ink around the edges of the whole thing. So that's what I'm doing here on both sides. And then I decided to take the same washi tape that I used in my lap book and put a strip of that on the journal on both sides to kind of cover up that seam between, the scrapbook paper and the binding. So that's how I did both books, and here they both are. And so I stick them in my lap book, and that's pretty much it. And I'll show you a quick flip through here at the end. I really like the way this turned out, and I thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, I decided to ink around the edges of the whole thing. So if you like this video, you can give me a thumbs up. You can also leave me a comment or question if you have any questions. Or you can hit subscribe to see more. But yeah, I really like the way it turned out. And so after I got done inking that up, here I show you like the whole thing so that you can see all of the pockets and the decorations and stuff that I did here. Another pocket, some more pockets, and then my two composition books that I put in here, and then the other side. I have a pocket there, more pockets, and then more pockets, lots and lots of pockets. And then that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.